Hello and welcome to another episode of Game Theory, the #1 DraftKings prep show in all of the land. I'm your host Monk, aka the Monk Petition, and in this very episode, we're going to be breaking down all 14 fights coming up at UFC Vegas 56, headlined by Alexander Volkov and Jairzinho Rozenstruik, coming up this Saturday. So from a DK DraftKings perspective, that's what we are doing in this episode. Hope you are all doing well. First things first, please like the video and sub to the channel. Hashtag road to 300 subs. We are getting closer every day. Thank you guys a ton. And lastly, be sure to check out teamriserfall.com. If you play DFS of any kind, get over there and get in touch with our Discord and see what the experts and the players are having to say daily about every single sport you could imagine DraftKings for. So if you are a DFS player of any kind, teamriseorfall.com. Use code MONK, M-O-N-K, save yourself some money at checkout. Now, without further ado, guys, let's get right into these 14 fights. First fight of the night, Aaron Blanchfield going against JJ Aldrich. I almost said JJ Redick. That would be an interesting fight. Aldrich coming in at $9,600 this week, the most expensive fighter on the card, but for good reason. I mean, she's made the optimal lineup twice. You know, out of both of her 2 UFC fights, she has made the optimal both times. JJ Aldrich, $6,600. She's also made the optimal one time out of her 3 UFC fights since January 1st, 2021. Let's stay on the Aldrich side here. 2.45 points a minute, 70 when she wins, so pretty low there. Only giving up 88.74 when she loses, and that is over 3 losses. She is coming in $1,560 less than her average salary. A huge value there, in my opinion. Let's see, Aaron Blanchfield, only 2 fights in the UFC, but over 6 points a minute so far, 120 on average when she wins, allowing only 1 point a minute. Excuse me, defensively, she is coming in $1,000 over her average salary, but her average value so far, 14.02, a ridiculous salary, or value, excuse me. The salary voodoo for the weight class women's flyweight, the best weight class probability, or to play, I should say, from a probability perspective of making the optimal lineup. 56.36% of the time a women's flyweight fight is taking place, someone from that fight makes the optimal lineup. So it's a huge percentage there. Absolutely love it. That said, you all, if you've listened to me before, you know 9,600 is a huge no-no, big red flag to play. It is just too expensive to make the optimal lineup. It's only made it once out of, I think, 11 or 12 uses, something crazy like that. And I'll say it again, it was Marvin Vettori versus Kevin Holland, where he scored like 156 points. So if you think Blanchfield can put up, 130, 140, she might have a chance here. But with 14 fights, you guys, underdogs are going to be making it. Anybody that puts up, 115, 110 could make it before Blanchfield, if they're at like the 9,000, 8,000 range. So I would be very careful on that. That said, JJ Aldrich, I will be playing her in GPPs this week as a punt. I mean, 6,600, the cheapest salary you can play. If this goes the distance, guys, she is going to score, let's see, when she loses, 22.35 points. When she loses by decision, actually, I don't have that number with me. I should get that, though. But I'm trying to say she's going to score 20, 30 points in a decision loss. At 6,600, that's not terrible. So for cash games, that's definitely an angle I like. The Blanchfield side, I will be well under the field on that one. If she does make the optimal, great. But like I said, it's only happened once so far in, a year and a half, basically. So I will be a bit trepidatious on that. Let's, scroll down. I did talk for a long time. Blanchfield, obviously, her takedown and control time is most of her game there. So we will see what happens. But Aldrich, 72% takedown defense. So I do like the defensive side, especially when it comes to grappling from Aldrich. She's probably still going to get handled. I think Blanchfield's going to roll through her. I think the line is probably a bit wide at this point, but I could easily see Blanchfield just rolling through her. She put up 115 against Maverick, 126 against Sarah Alpar. Here are my projections. Whoever you think is going to happen, this is what I think is going to score. I think I said that backwards, but you know what I mean. Very low finishing rates, career and in the UFC for these women. So I do think this goes to decision, and I think Aldrich can put up a decent score even in a loss. At least 20, 30 points, not like a Parker Porter 0 like we saw in 4.5 minutes against Almeida. So I like Blanchfield for the win. Very low in GPPs. I don't mind her in cash at all, but I will have, the GPP angle for that fight is going to be JJ Aldrich. Second fight of the night, Andreas Michailidis going against Rinat Fakhretdinov. Good God. Sorry, guys. I've been dreading this fight and a few of these pronunciations this whole week, so bear with me. Let's see, Michailidis, $7,000 this week, so a pretty cheap play. 2.67 points a minute, 68 when he wins. Gives up only 2.1 per minute, and 92 when he loses. $800 under his average salary. Rinat coming in at $9,200. Let me fix my monitor here. I have no UFC stats for him. He has no UFC fights, no DWCS fights at all. The stats I do have, he has 16 of 18 wins have come by way of finish, 11 by KO TKO, 5 by sub. He's never been finished. One decision loss in his entire career. So pretty interesting here, but we're stepping up the competition, obviously, even though it is against, Andreas Michailidis, who not, 1-2 UFC record. Nothing jumping off the page here. He is $800 under his average salary. He has yet to score over 90 points. He's given up over 90 in one of his 2 losses. Has decent ground numbers, over 1 point a minute in takedown and control time. So we'll have to see, maybe that's a path here. Do your tape on Rinat, that's for sure. Do your tape on both guys, obviously. Shouldn't have to tell you to do your tape, but, do your tape. Michailidis, when he loses, on average giving up 80 bonus points, so he is getting finished. In fact, he's been knocked out. Both of his UFC losses, he's been finished by KO TKO. Strength of schedule for both guys, very poor, in the 60s and dipping into the 50s for Andreas. You want this number to be 70 to 75. That's a good strength of schedule. Anything better than that is fantastic. Anything worse than 70 is a bit lackluster, and we are well below 70 here, not even close. Michailidis got destroyed by Pajeda. I guess destroyed. Yeah, pretty much. His one win in the UFC was against KB Buller, so that tells you something there, in which he scored only 68 points. So I don't expect a ton from Andreas here, but this is basically Rinat's fight. Rinat will dictate how this fight goes. If he's not ready for the UFC, maybe Michailidis could, possibly get a finish. He does have 11 finishes out of 13 professional wins, so the finishes are there for him, but none in the UFC so far. But like I said, this will be Rinat's fight as far as where he wants to take it, I think. If he's not ready, it's going to be Michailidis. Otherwise, this could easily go to decision. I don't really know. I'm going to have to do my tape, like I said. The 16 out of 18, so what is that, 8 of 9? So 88, almost 89% finish rate in wins for Rinat. Definitely going to have to look into that, and a ton for Michailidis. I'm sure Computer Monk thinks this one's going to finish inside the distance. I would target a bit of both sides for GPPs here. Maybe stay away in cash is kind of how I'm thinking. Too many variables in this one for cash. Next fight. Let's keep it moving. Fan favorite, Jeff Molina going against Zhumagulov. A lot of people's, possibly fight at the prelims here. Molina, $9,000, has made the optimal 2 out of 2 times in the UFC, so fantastic. Zalgas, let's see, 1 and 3 in the UFC, has yet to make the optimal lineup. He is 7,200. Zalgas, 2.44 points a minute, 94 when he wins, allows many more than that per minute, 3.26 and 87 when he loses. He is very, a bit cheaper than his average salary, I should say, minus $775. Jeff Molina, 7.12 points a minute. This is over 20, almost 21 minutes of UFC fight time, guys. So pretty good there. 7.12 points a minute, 123.94 points per win. And if he had 3 or more fights, he would be ranked number 1 in this category this week. So you need 3 fights to get ranked according to my sheet. And right now he is sitting at 2. Excuse me, make sure I am unmuted there. Allows a ton of points, though, 3.79 a minute. He is 650 over his average salary, so not terrible. Average value, 14.84. Again, that would probably be number 1 this week if he had 1 more fight. Second highest ceiling on the floor, almost a top 10 floor right there. Fantastic. 116 when he wins by KO TKO, and when he won by decision, he put up 131. Both of his fights over 110, obviously. Not much in the way of takedowns or control time. 5.32 striking points per minute and 1.44 points in knockdowns per minute on average. Allows almost 1 takedown and control time point per minute. in which Zalgas is about, just under a half a point per minute there. Let's see what else we have. Strength of schedule. This is what I was afraid of. Jeff Molina, very poor. 61 across the board, well under 70, but he is undefeated in his last 5 professional fights. Zalgas on the other side, a fantastic strength of schedule, the best we've seen so far early on in this video. His worst number is 71 strength of victory. Opponent win percentage, almost 78. Just fantastic. Couple of fights here. Let's see. Oh yeah, he whooped Daniel da Silva, did Jeff Molina, scoring 116 points, almost 117. Then that 131 came against Arichi Lang. Shout out to Lou Betya. I nailed it again. I'll never not say his name correctly. Zalgas 1-3 in the UFC. His only win coming against Jerome Rivera, first round sub, but 2 decision losses and a first round knockout. Let's see. Here are the graphs. DraftKings points per minute. Very good for Molina, trending up. And as we said, Zalgas giving up more points than he's scoring, but trending up. And then our projections, very high for Molina. I'm going to be huge on Molina this week. I like him at $9,000 a lot. Also, $9,000 is a fantastic salary to play with a great winning percentage and a good optimal percentage as well. So, I mean, the history of Molina, the scoring history, the both fights making the optimal, $9,000 here. If he gets a win, an early win, I like this one a lot. Even if he goes to decision, I mean, I know it's only a 1-fight sample size, but 131 points, I will take that 100% of the time. I mean, what are the stats on that fight? He landed almost 200 strikes at a 53% accuracy, 2 knockdowns. He allowed 3 takedowns, though, so that is big. Did allow 3 takedowns in that fight. And you do expect Zalgas to at least shoot a couple, I would imagine. But yeah, so he did fantastic in that fight. Love Molina here. I'll have a bit of both sides. Zalgas could pull something, but I'll have him more in cash, I think, Zalgas, than in GPPs. But I like both sides for cash. Obviously, I think Molina's going to win, so I shouldn't say I like both sides for cash. I like Molina for cash. Zalgas and GPPs. That's sorry, I'm a bit tired. I need to take a nap. I got about 3 hours of sleep last night, so I'm a bit confused. But yeah, Molina cash, and in GPPs, Zalgas GPPs. That's how I would play that one if I could actually recap this correctly. 4th fight, 12 minutes in. Hopefully we are going to cruise through this. Shout out to the MMA Engine guys. Sub and like that channel over there as well. Me, Wheezy, Brady, and Lou Betya killing it, bringing you a product within, I think, a few days now. It's really close. Lou's busting his ass over there, taking care of everything we need taken care of. So huge shout out to those guys, but an extra shout out to my intrepid co-host of the Happy Hour, Lou Betya. Give him a follow. 4th fight of the night, Tony Gravely going against Johnny Munoz Jr. This one could be interesting. 8,400 for Tony Gravely. Again, look at these numbers, guys. Optimal numbers. 2 out of 3 fights he's made it since January 1st, 2021. Excuse me, a bit of a hiccup there. 5.12 points per minute. Number 1 out of everyone fighting on the card that has at least 3 UFC fights. And the best score per win as well at 112.71. Allows 3.81 and 108, almost 109 when he loses. So tons of points in Tony Gravely fights, guys. Remember that. And he's $480 cheaper than his average salary, average value, almost 10. Ridiculous numbers here. Johnny Munoz Jr., 7,800, 350 under his average salary, scoring 3.74 points a minute, 91 when he wins. A bit lower than I would have expected, but he is 1-1 in the UFC. That's it. And his one win did come against, Jamie Simmons got KO'd, I believe, by Nate Maness. No, not KO'd, excuse me. Unanimous decision loss, in which the stats say he won that fight. So definitely have to go back and watch that one. 9.5 value. So a decent fight here, decent salaries, 8,400, 7,800. I'm going to be on the Tony Gravely side for GPPs. How do you not back up these numbers? 2 out of 3 fights optimal, 5.12 a minute, 112 when he wins. The upside is just humongous for Tony Gravely. 2/3 of his wins, he scored over 110. He's given up over 90 in both of his losses. Actually, over 100 in both of his losses. I mean, look at these takedown and control time points for, over 2.6 for Tony Gravely. And he's also giving up damn near 1.82 per minute. Just humongous. I mean, this is going to be a wrestle fest. This one's going to be exciting to watch. You have to play both sides, I think, in GPPs. That's all you gotta, And at these salaries, 84 and 7,800, it's not going to be difficult to do. Wow, that was odd. My mouse totally delayed on me there. I mean, Johnny Munoz Jr., 67% takedown defense, almost, or significant striking defense, almost 68, but 0 takedown defense so far. Tony Gravely, only 50%. Both these guys controlling majority of the grappling time they've been involved in. The biggest discrepancy is strength of schedule. Tony Gravely's strength of schedule in his last 5, fantastic. Well over mid-70s in almost every category. Munoz on the other side, not great. His strength of defeat is good, but I mean, a 52 strength of victory. He's just beaten cans, basically, is what that says. So not a fan of those strength of schedule numbers for Munoz. Here is the fight history. And the projections there a bit higher for Munoz in a couple of these categories, as you would expect. And the visual statistical recap. About the same real estate overall, but just the manner of which they score is a bit different. And then the aggregate professional and UFC career finishing percentages, pretty high. Computer Monk probably thinks this finishes inside the distance. I like both sides of this fight, but I do like the Gravely side more, the upside more, excuse me. If you're going to make me pick one side for GPPs, give me Gravely. But man, that 7,800 for Munoz, not a bad number. It's just the DraftKings points per win, which is only one fight. It's only 91, but Gravely giving up a 109 on average over 2 UFC losses. So I think the winner is going to score a tremendous amount of points. I like the Gravely side a bit more. Not sure if I trust either side enough to play in cash. I guess I'd have to lean Gravely there as well. Next fight, Benoit Saint-Denis going against Nicholas Stolze. 8,500 for Saint-Denis and 77 for Stolze. We'll start with Stolze. 1.4 points per minute, allows 4.51 per minute. He is 0-2 in the UFC. He's also $800 more than his average salary. Completely ridiculous. For some reason, I don't have the salary of Benoit Saint-Denis from last time, so whatever. Pretty interesting there. Yeah, nobody's made the optimal. These are 2 fantastic salaries to play, especially the 8,500 when it comes to salary voodoo. I mean, absolutely one of the best salaries you could play statistically. But yeah, 0-1 in the UFC for Saint-Denis, 0-2 for Stolze. Both these guys looking for their first UFC win. I'm leaning Saint-Denis. Nicholas Stolze has shown me absolutely nothing. And that 1.4 points per minute over 16 minutes of fight time. Get out of here. Saint-Denis, we skipped this. 2.86 points a minute is what he scored in his UFC fight that did go the distance. Gave up 4.45 a minute and 96 in that decision loss. 100% takedown defense so far. I mean, but it's only one fight. How many takedown attempts was it? I could look. Let's look. Why not? A simple click, bud. 0 for 4. So he did defend all 4 takedowns that, Zaleski dos Santos threw it in. But if that fight is notorious, the ref, that ref, my God. Don't have to say much about it, but we'll just say BSD took a beat down. That's what he took. Stolze losing to Jared Gooden in the first round, just over a minute, and decision lost by Ramazan Emeev. So I'm not looking forward to the Stolze side at all. I like the Saint-Denis side here. Could get an early finish. I will have some exposure for that reason, but I'm not going to be going crazy, probably in the 20 to 30%. And I do like him for cash as well, I think. So, yeah. Keep this one short and sweet. I don't like Nicholas Stolze at all. He has shown me absolutely nothing that would make me want to roster him in a DraftKings lineup. Next fight. Ode Osbourne going against Zaruk Adashev. Osbourne making the optimal 1 out of his last 3 fights. $8,900 for Osbourne. 2.8 points a minute, but a good score when he wins. 98.22. That is not bad. That $8,900 salary, I mean, he might have to score a bit more to pay that off, to get that 12x. Does give up a bunch of points per minute, 3.56, and 106 when he loses, 2-2 in the UFC, so not the biggest sample sizes, but not the smallest either. Also, $825 more than his average salary. Average value of under 6.5. Zaruk out. Actually, Osbourne also with the third highest ceiling. Interesting to note, 127 on the ceiling there. Zaruk Adashev, 7,300, not made the optimal. 1 and 2 in the UFC, 1.48 points a minute. Ouch. 63 when he wins, by far the lowest numbers we've seen so far. Well, except for that DKP per minute. We did see Stolze with a lower number, but the DKP per win here, 63.15. You know, great defensive pace, only 2.02 points per minute allowed. 87.93 when he loses, and he is $200 less than his average salary. I'm going to be on the Ode Osbourne side here. The upside for Adashev is minuscule, in my opinion, when it comes to large tournament GPP field. 1.48 points a minute in 30 minutes of fight time. I'm not interested in that whatsoever. 63 points when he wins. He has, 2 of his 3 UFC fights have gone the distance, which means the other one took half a minute. Yeah, Tyson Nam. He lost to Tyson Nam in just over 30 seconds. So I'm not interested in the Adashev side. Ode a bit, under 2.8, under 3 points a minute is what I was going to say, 2.8. But that 98 when he wins is pretty good. Has gone over 110 in one of his 2 UFC wins. Not much as far as takedown, his takedown defense and control time defense, not great. Opponent scoring over almost 0.6 points a minute on him in that direction. Strength of schedule is not great either. Under 70 across the board for Osbourne. And we're under 65. Under 64 in most of these categories here for Adashev. I'm not impressed with Adashev whatsoever. I mean, the loss to Su Mudarji, Su Mudarji is, been taking people's heads off lately. Ryan Benoit, what was that win really worth if you really look at it? Guys like 10-8 or 12-8, something like that. Not a great record at all. Meanwhile, Ode Osbourne losing to Manal Kopp, good fighter, and Brian Kelleher, good fighter. Wins over Vergara and Rivera. Yeah, I'm just not interested in this from a GPP perspective unless it's the Osbourne side. And even then, at 8,900, that is a bit much for me, in my opinion. I will have a bit, but I can't see myself going much over 20-25%, honestly. I guess for cash, I don't mind him, but still, I just think he's a bit too expensive for what we're going to get. His average value, again, only 6.5 in his fights, so not too great. Here is a fight I love one side of for GPPs and for cash for that matter. Damon Jackson going against Daniel Argueta at the time of this recording, 10:27 a.m. on June 1st. There are no salaries for Damon Jackson and Daniel Argueta. DraftKings has not released them yet. Not sure why. I mean, this fight's been made for 2 weeks. There's been at least a few books with lines out for at least a week. But anyways, you will see salaries here. I am guessing these are hypothetical. I think, according to the lines, Damon Jackson's going to be 9,500 and Argueta is going to be 6,700. So that's what we're going to do here. That said, 9,500 again, if you know me and my videos, is my #1 top favorite salary to get to. Has the best optimal percentage, has a fantastic win rate. Just generally a salary you should look to target. Really, I mean, if you're going for optimals, man, I'll be in the 50s, 60s, 70s. I'm trying not to get too crazy. I'm not going to say 80s, but I will have a ton of Damon Jackson here. Plus, listen to these numbers after that little spiel about the $9,500 salary. Made the optimal lineup 2 out of 2 fights. 2 out of his last 2 fights. 3.31 points a minute, 92 when he wins. He is coming $1,975 over his average salary. So that is a bit of a red flag, but he's going against a guy that has no UFC fights at all, no Dana White Contender Series fights. He has only 8 pro fights in which he is undefeated. 6 finishes, 4 of those by way of sub. Going against Damon Jackson, you're probably not subbing Damon Jackson. And 2, coming by way of KO, TKO, 2 have gone the distance. Damon Jackson's got 4, 3.5 times this guy's professional experience. He's got 7 UFC fights compared to 0. I think this is, unless something insane happens here, like Damon Jackson just gets caught and we are completely shocked, I don't see how Damon Jackson does not run through this guy. If he finishes him in the first round, he's going to score well. I can expect at least 1 takedown, I would imagine. So that's a plus 5 points, plus 90. You're looking at 95 right there. If he lands a few strikes, get some control time, we could see triple digits, which is what we need for Damon Jackson to pay off this, potentially second highest salary of the week. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this one. If this goes to decision, on average, when Jackson wins by decision, he scores 112.52 points. Fantastic numbers there. That'll put him probably on the optimal lineup. Does give up a lot of points, though. That is the problem, 3.45. But those are mostly early on in his UFC career. In his last two, he's looked fantastic. I mean, the guy is scoring 1.66 points per minute in takedowns and control time. He's also allowing a ton of takedowns and control time points as well. But he is a guy that does not mind working off of his back. He goes for reversals, things like that. I mean, 0.31 points per minute just in reversals. That is the number one highest scoring rate on the entire card. That's not nothing, guys. That's a great number. So keep that in mind if he gets taken down. Reversal percentage, very, very good. His strength of schedule in his last 5, in which he is 4-1. So definitely turning it around there. His only loss in his last 5, Ilia Topuria, undefeated fighter. Hits like a fucking truck. He did draw against Levan Makishvili, but he's beaten Bektik, Rosa, and Kirk pretty well in his the Bektik fight was a bit of an interesting decision. Actually, never mind. It was the sub. That's right. Yeah, he was getting his ass beat until he wasn't. So again, reversals, submissions for Damon Jackson. He can find them at any time. I love Jackson in this fight. Basically, I'm just fading the very unproven guy that doesn't even have a DWCS fight. So unless Argueta, comes out, like I said, and completely shocks me, which it would be shocking to me if he won this fight, I'll have Damon Jackson in a ton of lineups. I think he finishes inside the distance. Computer Monk agrees with me. Think he scores well. 9,500, best salary to play. I'm hammering Damon Jackson in DraftKings this week. Joe Solecki going against Alex De Silva. We are less than half an hour in, and we are about halfway through. This is awesome. 8,800 for Solecki. One of the worst salaries you can play is the $8,800 salary. Of late, it has been a little bit better, but those percentages since January 1st of last year are still very low. Going against Alex De Silva, 7,400 here. 1-2 in the UFC, has not fought in over a year and a half, so 613 days at the time of this recording. 3.37 points per minute for De Silva, 87 win in his one in his one UFC win. Less than 2 points a minute defensively is what he allows, and only 76 when he loses. So pretty good defensive pace here for Alex De Silva. 6.58 value. He's $633 under his average salary, and he's outscoring his opponents on average by 1.41 points a minute. Great numbers there, especially the defensive side. If you're looking to fade the $8,800 salary, which I probably am from week to week, but Joe Solecki is offering a decent pace here, third highest on the board, 4.1 points a minute, 99 when he wins, guys. No joke. 1.51 is all he allows, and 74 when he loses. So both of these guys with the first and second best defensive paces on the card. Solecki, if you're on that side, he is $25 more expensive than his average salary. That's it. So a fantastic number there with an average value of just under 10. So right where you want to be. That is great. Second highest on the card. And he's outscoring his opponents 2.59 points per minute. Ninth highest ceiling, second highest floor. Joe Solecki is a great cash play this week at $8,800. Alex De Silva has been finished once by sub, so that is an angle here. Joe Solecki with a decent amount of professional round one victories. So that is an angle here. So for that reason, I will have probably a bit more than usual of the $8,800 salary for Joe Solecki. Again, Alex De Silva hasn't fought in, over a year and a half. This could be, a rebound fight for Joe Solecki, after his Jared Gordon loss in the last one. So they might be setting him up for that. Alex De Silva lose, they have a reason to get him cut, blah, blah, blah. So I will have a bit more than usual Joe Solecki just for that fantastic DraftKings upside that he brings. Let's see. I'm looking for anything else that is decent. Silva does have an okay strength of schedule. We're under 70 and a bit over 70, so we're right there. Joe Solecki is pretty much the same, right at about 70 on average. Did beat Matt Wyman, Austin Hubbard, and Jim Miller. So Jim Miller's on a tear lately. His last loss was probably Joe Solecki back in April of 2021, I should say. But then, yeah, needs a rebound fight after that Jared Gordon loss, and this might be the one. Absolutely love Joe Solecki for cash, like I said. Also going to be playing him a bit more than usual in GPPs. Not him more than usual, I should say. The $8,800 salary a bit more than usual. I just like the upside this week for Joe Solecki. Here's the banger of a fight. I think this one's kicking off the main card. Honestly, I don't know how that's possible. Really, they should... Actually, is it? Is this the last fight of the prelims? Or it doesn't really matter. Either way. Little bulldog, more like little bulldog shit fight. You hear what I'm saying? Felice Herrig going against Karolina Kowalkiewicz. I love me some double K Karolina, but I mean, she hasn't fought in, 300. Let's start with the Herrig side, actually. $8,300. She hasn't fought in almost 2 years, 655 days, 5-4 in the UFC. I think she destroyed her ACL, had some kind of reconstructive knee surgery that has kept her out for quite a long time. She's 37 years old, be 38 before the end of the year. 2.85 points a minute, 87 when she wins. Gives up 3.31 a minute and 97 when she loses. These are really bad numbers for strawweight. Like strawweights don't generally score that many points per minute. She is $300 more expensive than her average salary, 7.51 average value. Karolina Kowalkiewicz, man, I don't know how this fight's even happening. 2.61 points a minute, 82 when she wins, gives up 3.4 and over 100 when she loses. So the fact that I mean, you might have to play a bit of this fight, especially the Herrig side. I don't know how after Kowalkiewicz looked in her past couple, man, I don't know how this fight's even happening, but if you're gonna make me pick, I'm picking Felice Herrig. And I guess with Kowalkiewicz allowing 100 points per loss, I mean, look at it. These women are 2-8 in their past 10 fights. Kowalkiewicz losing to Penne, Zhao Alexa Grasso. Jesus, man, I can't read. I need a nap. Michelle Waterson and Jessica Andrade. I mean, she's getting worked on in all these fights. Herrig losing to Jandiroba, Michelle Waterson, and she did lose to Kowalkiewicz back in 2018 with wins over Justine Kish and Courtney Casey. Be sure to do your tape on that Justine Kish Felice Herrig fight for the record. Kowalkiewicz with a great strength of schedule, over 70 across the board, except that strength of victory, which is, a big error because she has no wins in her last 5. I don't have much to say about this. If you're going to make me pick, like I said, I'll pick Felice Herrig. I'll play a bit of her in GPPs, probably not too much Kowalkiewicz at all, and I'm staying away from this one in cash generally. This could be a double knockout. Like, who even knows? Who even knows? Next fight, Alonzo Menifield going against Oscar Mozharov. This is the guy. So I'm going to be completely off of Oscar Mozharov. I wasn't going to be on him much anyways. I like Alonzo Menifield in this fight. I like him to win in the first round, but I like it even more now. Apparently, Oscar, Tapology just came out today or yesterday, I don't remember, saying that they've been sent evidence that Mozharov's record was not accurate, and they've changed it, and some reports say that it's gone from 25-7 to now 21-11. They switched 4 wins for 4 losses, making it more accurate, supposedly. So, my God, 21-11 is the new record. So, that's not the thing that's putting me off of this fight, really, but I think the winner of this one wins early. I think Menifield gets out of his decision slump, which he's been in for the past 2 fights and 3 of his last 5. I think he's able to finish Oscarov here early. This dude Oscarov, in his 11 losses now 11 losses, 11 finishes, 7 by sub, 4 by way of KO TKO. Alonzo Menifield has finished 10 of his 11 professional wins, 8 by KO TKO, 2 by submission. I mean, come on, man. Asker supposedly has finished 19 of his supposed 21 wins by way of finish. You know, this one's not going if this one goes the distance, it's going to be real bad to watch in the third round. So give me Menifield here. I'm not going to say much else about it. I have no stats for Mozharov. 8,700 for Menifield, has made the optimal in 1 out of his past 3 fights. He is $71 cheaper than his average salary. Average score when he wins by KO TKO 105.07, which would be, you know, possibly optimal there at that point. That'd be a big value. 75% of his 4 wins have scored over 90 points, 75 bonus points on average, so he is a finisher. Strength of schedule is pretty bad, less than 65 in a couple of these categories, but Oscar's strength of schedule is less than 60 pretty much in every category. So give me Menifield here against the unproven and possibly cheating Askar Mozharov. I don't know how that's cheating, but there's a word for it that I'm just not thinking of. So it's pretty shady business, that's for sure. But hopefully we have the proper records. And I had to recount all the round 1 losses. It's something ridiculous. It's something crazy. He's in like 6 or 7, maybe 5. Maybe it is 7. I can't remember. It was a ton of round 1 losses. So yeah, I don't see how this one escapes the first round. Uh-oh, I spelled the name wrong. That's why. Here's a little behind the scenes for you guys. If you ever wanted to know. Now I have to go back over here. Can't believe I didn't check this beforehand. Where are we? Where's she at? There she is. All better. No panicking, guys. All right, don't panic. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. We don't make any errors here on the Monk Maddox channel. We're perfect all the time. Poliana Botelho going against DWCS alum Karina Silva. So I do have Karina's 1 UFC fight here, or sorry, 1 DWS fight in the database. 1.66 points per minute. 81 is what she would have scored in that win. Gave up 4.74 per minute. That is a huge red flag for me. You know, she did get that sub win. How many minutes was it? We were in the second round there, 6, almost 7 minutes. Yeah, this is going to be she's, you know, a submission fighter, it looks like. 5. Actually, no, that's not true. Rewind it. Take it back. Don't even say it. All 14 of her wins have come by way of finish. 9 of them have been by KO TKO. Only 5 by submission. 3 of her 4 losses also by way of finish. My goodness. On the other side, Poliana Botelho, 6 of 8 wins coming by way of KO TKO. She's done that once in the UFC out of her 3 wins. Mostly a decision fighter thus far, but she has been subbed in the UFC. $8,000 for Botelho. So coming in at the underdog price, 2.8 points a minute, 100 when she wins, allowing though 3.09 a minute and 91 in her losses on average. Again though, this is a women's flyweight fight, sneakily optimal 56.36% of the time. So you got to think, you know, the winner has a decent chance of making it here. Just, you know, I shouldn't say that. That's a salary voodoo video. It's coming up later, or actually it's already out now. Be sure, check out the MMA Engine, Salary Voodoo. Yeah, I totally lost my train of thought, though. I will be on... Actually, I'm probably not going to be playing much of this fight. If I am, I might be on the Silva side as far as GPP goes, because Botelho's probably just going to go to decision. But even if she does, I mean, 100 points. What's she scoring in a decision? Only 86, 128 when she wins by KO TKO. Who was that against? Kondo. Scored 128 points. Oh, it was a quick win bonus as well, coming in at just over 30 seconds. Yeah, not going to be playing this one in cash probably. I think Botelho's going to win. Computer Monk has a bet on her, a hypothetical bet at pretty much even money for Botelho to win. So I like that side. Again, the DWCS fade is live. Check out Clint. He just released a small Twitter thread about what he's historically found with his Dana White Contender Series bets. So check that out on Twitter. But yeah, I read it, loved the stats that he brought for that, and I am on board. So I kind of like Silva. I think she has a chance, but Botelho, you know, again, DWCS fade here. Another DWCS fade in the works, possibly, but however, Michael Trizano, maybe not the guy you want to bank on that. Going against Lucas Almeida, 7,100 for Almeida in his Dana White Contender Series fight. Would have scored 2.9 points a minute, given up 3.82 and 87 when he lost. 12 of 12 professional wins have been finishes, 8 KOs, 4 subs. Never been finished so far in his career. So that is pretty interesting. But again, actually, he does have more professional fights than Michael Trizano. So I was take back what I was about to say. 13 fights for Almeida, only 11 for the Lone Wolf, Michael Trizano. $9,100 for Trizano, 2.2 points a minute, 63 when he wins. Not interested. 3.14 points a minute is what he gives up, and 103 when he loses. And you want me to pay $1,640 over his average salary? GTFO, DK. You know what I'm saying? That is ridiculous. 59 points on average when he wins by unanimous decision. Has yet to score over 90. Like I said, I probably don't even have to read any more stats after that 63. I'm not paying $9,100 for a guy that is 63 DraftKings points per win. In fact, who could we get to instead of him? Let's take a look. 91. Oh, we could save $100 and play Jeff Molina, who scores 123 points when he wins, or save $200 and play Osbourne, or 3 and play Solecki, or 4 and play Menifield. I mean, just no. Not playing any of Trinaldo. Don't like this at all. Don't like it at all. If anything, I'll have some on Almeida in the hopes that people will just be overexposed to Trinaldo because Almeida is a Dana White Contender Series fighter, and maybe I can find some win leverage there, especially at that salary, $7,100. If he wins and scores 80, 90 points, that would be huge. Could possibly put him optimal. And people, I mean, Almeida, what's he going to be, 15%? There's 14 fights this week. This guy might not even be 10%. That's probably a bit low. He might not be 15%, so you could easily find some leverage there if you're playing him in 20, 25% of lineups. That's probably what I would look to do. Don't trust this side for cash at all. At all. Here are my projections and the aggregate visual statistical recap. Computer Monk probably thinks this one goes to decision. I tend to agree. I mean, if Trizano wins, what are we looking at? 60 points? I don't want any part of that. I'm not paying $9,100 for it. So that's where I stand on that one. Co-main event of the evening. Here we go. Dan Ige going against Movsar Evloev. Ige at a tremendous value, $1,000 under his average salary at $6,800, has made the optimal once out of his past 3 fights. 2.61 points a minute, 96.5 when he wins. Does allow 2.54 points a minute and only 81 per loss. So pretty decent defensive numbers there. Average value of 9.41 over his 11 UFC fights. So pretty good there. I shouldn't say 11 UFC fights. However many he has had since DraftKings has been around. Movsar Evloev, 9,400. Again, optimal 2 of 2 fights. These are the most consistent optimal rates I've seen on any card in quite a long time. You know, we're at least 3-4 fighters that are 100% optimal so far. Evloev, speaking of 100%, he is 15-0 professionally, 5-0 in the UFC, 4.54 points per minute, 98.1 when he wins, only allows 2.17. Guys, he's only $300 more than his average salary, but when your average is in the 9,000s, I mean, how much higher can you really get? But still, average value best on the card with fighters at least 3 UFC fights or more, 10.78. 2.37 raw DraftKings points per minute differential. These are a shitload of numbers saying that Movsar Evloev is a fantastic scorer. He has no UFC finish wins yet, but still, he's putting up these tremendous points in decision. So just under 100 points per decision, just over 92 in split decisions, which is the highest number on the card. 60%, you know, 3 of his 5 UFC wins, he scored over 90, 2 of them over 110. So he's getting over 110 points here, even in decision wins. Meanwhile, Dan Ige, I think we already talked about him. Yeah, Evloev over 2 points per minute in takedowns and control time. Ige averaging, you know, close to 0.7 points a minute, giving up in takedowns and control time. The stats all go to Evloev. He's fantastic. If you're just looking at the stats, just a fantastic fighter. Great stats to look at. Well in the mid-70s, well above the mid-70s, I should say, for both gentlemen strength of schedules. This is, you know, these are fantastic. 77 opponent win percentage for Ige, 75 for Evloev. You know, has not lost a fight, obviously, in his last 5. Meanwhile, Ige, 2-3 in his last 5. So he's really, I mean, they're giving him a tough task here with 2 losses against Chan Sung Jung and Josh Emmett. Giving him the 15-0 Movsar Evloev is definitely no walk in the park. Not at all. I'm predicting Evloev to win this fight. Even in decision, I think he scores well. Let's see. Ige never been finished in the UFC. Never been finished in his career. So, I mean, the fact that this could go to decision and he could score over 100 points makes me feel pretty confident. I like the $9,400 salary. It is a bit much, but statistically, it's not terrible. The weight class, featherweight, 53% of the time, almost 54% of the time, someone goes to the optimal lineup. Fantastic numbers there. The salary of $9,400 has almost a 79% win rate. So I love this fight. I'll have a lot of Evloev in cash. I like him for GPPs as well, but not as much as a few other fighters. But I love him for cash this week. Ige, I think, is an okay GPP play if you just keep a cap on it. I don't think he's going to win this fight. I'll play him at probably, I'll find out what his exposure is, what his ownership is, and I'll probably add 5% to that and play that. But other than that, maybe 5-10%. Other than that, though, I don't think Ige is going to be the one to stop Evloev here. I love this fight. Love it. It's going to be exciting. Main event of the evening, guys. Appreciate you sticking with me one last time. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It helps a ton, and you guys are killing it. I really appreciate that. We have in the main event Alexander Volkov going against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. Jairzinho has made the optimal 1 out of his past 3 fights. He is $7,600 this week. Only 2 points per minute. 106.91 when he wins. So what does that tell you? Tells you that he is out here getting finishes. 6 of them, to be specific. All 6 of his UFC wins have been by way of KO TKO. Gives up 2.67 and 102 when he loses. He's cheaper than his average salary by $356 this week. Fantastic value. 9.42 is his average value. 2.83 points is what Volkov is scoring at $8,600 this week. Once out of the last 4 fights, he has made the optimal lineup. 85 points a win, not great. 2.72 per minute is what he gets scored on him, and 112.86 when he loses. That is a terrible number. When Volkov's losing, he's giving up 112 points. That could be a recipe for the underdog Jairzinho Rozenstruik with a first round connection here. $400 over his average salary, so neither guy is breaking the bank or saving you a ton, which is a good thing. 8.46 average value, so not terrible, and the DraftKings points per minute differential pretty much break even. I'm going to be looking at this fight in one of 2 ways. I'll probably be much more exposed to Rozenstruik in bigger tournaments and GPPs for the obvious scoring upside. If he does get that connection in the first round, it's gonna, could be optimal there, especially at 7,600. While I don't expect that to happen because Volkov only been knocked out twice in his pro career, this is over 44 professional fights and only once in the UFC. 1 out of 12 has ended in KO TKO loss. For that reason, I might temper my expectations a bit on Rozenstruik, but there is video out this week of Rozenstruik wrestling, landing takedowns, which, I mean, yes, take that page out of Francis Ngannou's book. Work on your takedowns. If you can land takedowns on Volkov, or at least stop him from landing takedowns on you, which, well, yeah, I take that back. Just land takedowns on Volkov. He's going to be 7 inches taller than the not 6'4" Jairzinho Rozenstruik. There's no way this guy is more than 6'1". He's going to be 6-7 inches taller than Rozenstruik. You got to get Volkov off of his feet to stop that striking. Otherwise, he's just going to piece you up over time. So if Rozenstruik does not get the round 1 knockout, he's going to have to try to get inside and land some takedowns, use some clinch work. I don't know, man. We have not seen that side of Rozenstruik's game, but if Francis Ngannou can train it and utilize it against a striker, I think Rozenstruik has that chance to do the same thing. But he's definitely going to have to do something. He just can't be a bang or bust knockout guy. And, you know, I can't put a guy like that in a ton of lineups. You just, I mean, I guess that's what it's all about. But, I mean, it's not like he's going to be low owned. Everybody knows who Jairzinho Rozenstruik is and what he can do and how he's going to score if he gets his way. So, I'll probably be over on Rozenstruik. I'll probably be under on Volkov. I'll play Volkov in cash and Rozenstruik in GPPs. I'm just babbling at this point. I'm so exhausted. I need to take a nap, which I've probably said a few times at this point. Strength of schedules are fantastic. Rozenstruik beating Volkov in almost every category, but Rozenstruik is almost 80 in a few of these categories for strength of schedule. So, I mean, he's lost to Curtis Blades, Cyril Gane, and Francis Ngannou, beaten Dos Santos and Augusto Sakai. So adding Alexander Volkov to this list of wins would probably be the biggest win in his UFC career, I would imagine. I know I'm pretty sure he beat Overeem, if I'm not mistaken. Right now, that's probably his biggest win, maybe Dos Santos. But those are not aging well, as you would expect. So, Volkov, meanwhile, losing to Aspinall and Cyril Gane, beating Harris, Overeem, and Tybura. I don't know, man. I think Volkov probably wins this fight more times than he doesn't. He just doesn't get finished. So that's my issue here. But you have to play some of it. You can't just play 0%. It's like playing 0% of Derek Lewis. Like, yeah, sometimes that works, you know, especially recently. But that can really bite you in the ass. I mean, look at the Daukaus fight or whatever. So, anyways, I'm just rambling at this point. I like Volkov for cash, Rozenstruik for a bit of GPPs. Guys, that is going to do it. All 14 fights brought to you from a DK perspective right here on the Monk Maddox channel. I really appreciate you joining me one last time. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. It seriously helps a ton as we are on the road to 300. Be sure to get over to the MMA Engine and check out my salary voodoo video. It should be out already. And several of our other videos. You know, we're bringing you content at least once a day, sometimes numerous times a day, leading up to every single UFC card. So MMA Engine on YouTube, MMA_engine on Twitter. And one last time, teamriserfall.com. Use code MONK, save yourself some money. Guys, I really appreciate you sticking around. I want all of you to enjoy the fights. So enjoy. And we will see you next time. Have a good one.